Hey, what's going on guys, Kinsey here. In this video I'd like to share some most common practices professional developers gonna use in their everyday career, let's say, everyday life, everyday practice. So I'm currently making this on-demand tutorial series on PySpark. So you asked me and I'm now just picking up this framework absolutely from scratch. I had no prior experience with PySpark. And well, it's really pleasant to have all those nice commentaries like I'm making. It's easy to understand and so on. But really, there is nothing special there. And I decided to make this video because I feel like there is a sort of a misunderstanding of the learning process in general and sort of a overestimating of my skills, basically, like to deliver things in a simple way. So there is nothing really special, and I want to make this sort of a demystification video, so demystifying completely what am I doing, because everyone actually can do that and there is nothing really special. So what does it mean to be a professional developer? So that's probably the very first question arising. So, and what's the difference between the professional and non-professional developer? So the professional developer is the one who can pick up from scratch whatever tool chain, framework, programming language he needs for his daily job. That's pretty much all about it. So if you can learn from scratch, if you can extend your knowledge from scratch, that already makes you a pro. That's very simple. So the next natural question arising is, what do you need in order to being able to do that? You need basics. So basics means understanding the flow of programming. Unfortunately, this is something that people kind of have a big lack of, and I have an assumption of why is in regards to why is that happens basically. So. I believe that the major problem is in today's modern programming courses. They are selling everywhere. Well, most of them, Udemy, I believe, that's probably the major resource. But the principle is the same, is everywhere the same. So you just think of one simple thing. So if someone is selling the courses, all he cares about his income, so he cares about his sales. So he doesn't really want you to land a job, or he doesn't want you to understand anything after that course. He just wants this course to be trendy, to be good looking, whatever features it needs in order to get sold. Once it got sold, that's it. They don't care about anything else later on. Okay, so in this case, you might be wondering what's the source to get the new knowledge, basically. So where should you learn from? And again, like whatever professional developer knows that the project's documentation is the major source of those new knowledge. So the best practices, the most common techniques, all you need to know, all you need in production, because literally, if they do make a framework, an open source framework that everyone is using in the specific niche, they already have this like questions, Q&A based questions, mostly the fact based, mostly frequently asked questions based on Stack Overflow. They usually have the dedicated community chats. It might be on Discord or wherever, it doesn't matter. I'm not even looking to those because that's a little bit over an overkill, to be honest, to me personally. But anyway, the major source of the knowledge is the website for a current given framework, and usually those who does those frameworks actually provide the website with its tutorials, most common practices, all this stuff. So for instance, for Spark, there is no need to reinvent the wheel. So I just found it's probably the number one Google search result, sparksbyexample.com, and there you have literally everything. And you have the learning map, you have the most commonly used topics. You have a whole lot of examples on GitHub, so they have a link to their GitHub, and on GitHub they have this whole lot of like set of files where they just break down all these complicated things into small chunks and provide the hands-on examples of this is called codebook in some cases as well. But anyway, so you have literally everything there. And probably the only thing that lacks there, and it lacks quite naturally because this is a very personal thing, and all they can provide is fairly general. But there is one little personal thing that really matters, and this then is why do you actually need to use this sort of framework? So this is on your side, and like I always say that you don't need to. So don't let the framework to use you. Use framework instead. Someone even quoted that somewhere in the commentaries. But that's really true because if you start, like I just want to give you a very simple example of how I initially discovered this principle. So back in the day when I needed to pick up Scrappy for my freelance jobs, so yeah, I didn't have any prior experience in web scraping at that time. And when I first had a look at this scraping framework, I was thinking like, oh my god, what a spaceship is this? Why do we even need this? So it was so overwhelming, and it was giving me the documentation was giving me so many information that I didn't really care about, and I didn't know, and I didn't even know if I should care about that information or not. So that's one of the major pitfalls when you're learning from scratch something. Uh, and here, one of the most important things is actually before if you just like read a job offer somewhere and they say like, okay, we need your experience in, let's say, in PySpark, right? And you're thinking like, okay, I need to learn this framework. In this case, I will land that job. That's wrong. That would never ever work because they don't really care about your experience in PySpark or in whatever framework. They don't even care if you know how to code or not. Whatever business, they have some budget that they are ready to spend to get the jobs done. They don't really freaking care about who you are, what skills do you have, and so on. They don't care about you as a person completely. They don't care about anything, but just they try to spend as little money as they can to get the maximized result. That's all they care about, and that's just how the world operates in general. So bearing this in mind, you need to, when you're looking for an opportunity in working with some sort of a company, let's say, you need to be focused not on the requisites that what they assume you to know. You instead need to be aware of what kind of tasks do they have in the real life. So they either do specify that explicitly, or if they don't, the very first thing I would have done, I would have asked them, what in particular are you doing there? And then you would be the guy who decide which framework to use for that particular purpose. Because you just imagine the interview where they are asking you like, do you know this framework or that programming language, etc. And you are already in the pressure and you are already in the position of a slave. So they are kind of masters and they're just hitting you with this knowledge and they are enslaving you even more. And this is not going anywhere. Even if you succeed with this interview, you're already showing yourself like a person that they can beat however they want, and they can pay you the miserable price for this, and they don't even consider you to be a human. That no one says about this, but that's generally how this happens. So now you imagine just the opposite scenario when you're asking them. So you are in charge. You're asking them, okay, guys. So please let me know what in particular you're trying to do. So what do you think in regards to the solution? And then you may even start arguing like, is this particular framework is really best for this sort of a purpose? Because if you know the pros and cons, that like this upsides and downsides of a particular framework, and if you do realize that what in particular do they want to do, you may end up with suggesting them using even a different framework. And this sort of a position, you're no longer a slave. You're a person that is kind enough to serve their business, and that is going to be a completely different story, because in that case they will be talking to, well, first of all, you can charge them higher than they could even be thinking about initially, because you may emphasize that in order to get their job done, it's not that simple how they thought, and this might need some additional job to be done. So and that increases the overall price for the entire project, for instance. But anyway, the idea is that if you are focused at getting the job done, what is the entire program is all about. And if you're wondering about the particular project's details, in this case, the way how they're gonna be talking to you is gonna be way different, and it would be way more way more respectful way, like how they're gonna be talking to you. Because in this case, again, like you are in charge, right? So I hope this makes sense, because otherwise you're just losing in any case. If you're not getting the job, you're losing because you're not getting the job. If you are getting the job, you're losing because you're gonna end up being a slave there. And that's pretty much all about it. So all they try to do here in IT, they try to like enslave you. They try to almost not paying you anything of what it really costs, and they also want you to be happy after, and like being like in this position to like, sir, please give me another piece of like piece of bread. I don't know, whatever. So that's what they want basically, because it's easier for them to control. But that's not because they are like bad guys or something. That's because the vast majority of the freelancers market, it operates like that, because freelancers mostly are not taking responsibility, and that's the reason why they don't stand out. So if you just take this responsibility, even when the project is not yet offered, when it's just the negotiation process. So when you're in the negotiation process, if you do take this position of this responsibility, if you showcase your approach in that way, that then your value would have been increased really. So if you're talking not from the perspective, I know the skills and I want like $5 per hour for this work. You just this makes you a slave in their eyes, and this is very disrespectful, and you're digging you're digging a grave with your own hands to your career in this period of time you would be working for the business. That's it. So yeah, and when you have this kind of position, when you do understand, do realize what the project actually needs. In this case, you're free to use what kind of framework you need in order to get this job done. And in this case, it might happen that there is a sort of a framework that would be a better fit for this project, as opposed to the one that you already have an expertise in. And in this case, you can say, okay, so I think that for this work, like this project might be, this framework, like this programming language might be a little bit better. And you may even say like, but in order to pick this up from scratch, I need some additional, this would involve some additional costs. And in this case, you're literally telling your client, so if you want me to do this job for you, with my understanding, with my level, in this case, you need to pay for the fact that I would be spending my life, I would be spending my time in order to learn the certain skills that would be helpful in order to get the job done for you. And you might be wondering that it's not gonna be working, but you can always say, okay, so you want someone else who already has those knowledge, okay, just go and find him. I don't care. I don't mind. I'll find another client. I'm not so. The idea is that when you're not letting the client to choose from from you and 100 more developers. No, you say, I will think if I'm gonna be working with you, right? So if you're good enough for me, if you're not enslaving me, if you do respect enough, if you do show enough respect to me, in this case, I will think if this is appropriate for me to work with you. So that's the position, because otherwise they're just smashing you and you just burning out, and that's it. So I hope that makes sense. And in this regards, it's not some fairy tales that I'm telling you. I had this experience in the past when, for instance, I was making some I was making a web scraping job for one of my clients, And then it turned out that the developer who was doing the web development was doing the Python Django web framework, which I personally consider to be an overkill for that project because that wasn't a big production. It was just for internal use in the company. And I just said my client, so he asked me if I can if I have the knowledge of Python Django and if I can replace that developer. And I say, no, I don't have knowledge in Python Django, but I can do this in Flask. And if you pay for time and effort I spent to get used to the code base and to write everything, so if you pay for my education, in that case, I will think about if this is appropriate for me or not. And he not only agreed to pay on that, he even increased my rate because the rate I was working as a web scraping expert was much lower as opposed to the rate that I had when I was doing this full stack web development. So this is not some sort of a fairy tale. This is the real world example, and I need to emphasize that this sort of a position is bringing you respect anyway, because otherwise you're just getting enslaved. That's pretty much all about it. So in the case when you have this position, when you have this understanding, in that case, you can just go for a framework. You can just read the documentation and okay, you see like, so I need to pick up this one or that one, etc. And then you're going for these examples and your client is paying you for that. So it's all from within. It's all about the initial position. If you have this, then you are in charge and you decide what to learn, how to learn, and how to use it. But yeah, you need to take the responsibility in this case. So I hope there is no more mystery now. So in regards to like how, in terms of how to learn new things, so you just open the documentation and you just read through this. You have those examples, and the main thing to have this your own learning path, the guideline of how you're about to be proceeding. You need to know what exactly your project needs, and in this case, you do this what I'm always talking about. You use the framework. You don't let the framework to use you. That's it. That's it from my side. Thanks for watching. Until the next time, and take care.